Today, we're going to dive deep into discipline.
Hello, my name is Blau, and I'm here to talk about heaven.
So today, I want to talk about discipline and joy, and how actually one is the other. Discipline is a whole topic in my life, and it always has been. And throughout the years, I've grown to develop my own understanding of it and my own perspectives on it and practices that help me relate to it in a positive way. And I also see that it's a very important topic for many people, so I thought, why not talk about it and share what has served me and what helped me with it. So, yeah, my first conscious contact with discipline was when I was 3 years old and I started playing the violin, learning to play the violin through Suzuki method. And so that required a daily practice. And to be honest, yeah, my relationship with discipline didn't start on the right foot. But throughout the years and a lot of experimentation and a lot of going from one extreme to the other and a lot of pain and a lot of reflecting on it, yeah, I've come to have in the present a very good relationship to it, for which I'm super grateful and very, very happy. But yeah, before diving into the things that have helped me, I want to comment the social context we live in, because I think that's going to be key in actually developing discipline and a healthy discipline. Because we live in the Western world in a very, very materialistic society where productivity, external results are super important, where the opinions of others still weigh heavily on us, where, yeah, we're just very much focused on achieving and achieving for others, not for ourselves, wanting to be liked and very, very attached to the forms. So yeah, that was just a quick comment, but we're going to dive deeper into it in this video. So let's clear one thing up. You might think some people struggle with being too disciplined and others with not being disciplined enough, but really there's only one problem with discipline, and that's the imbalance of it. Because like everything else, once it's out of balance, it becomes harmful. But more importantly, because one extreme always leads you to the other one. So whatever the extreme we are in, eventually will lead you to the other one, sooner or later. Because too much always leads to too little, and too little always leads to too much. This is a whole law of how nature works that I think it's actually worth exploring in another video, but I just wanted to mention it. What I want to say is that if we are struggling with discipline, look closely and you're gonna find that you're actually experiencing both extremes inconsistently. For some people, the starting point or the most usual point, it's under discipline, and for other ones it's over discipline, which depends on a lot of things: the social cultural background, the family context, the personality tendencies. We could say that someone who is over disciplined is stiff, strict, or joyless, not truly present, and someone under disciplined is not realizing their full potential. Too much structure makes the structure break, and too little doesn't allow you to build something. The key is to find what real discipline is, how to practice long-lasting discipline, how to live in discipline, how to live in a joyous discipline. Being hard on ourselves it doesn't really get us what we want. It just pushes us to burnout points. So creating an overly serious, harsh experience for ourselves makes us not want to repeat that experience. If, for example, you're teaching a child, how does the child learn better and faster? It's when they're having fun. The more fun you make an experience, the more you're going to want to repeat said experience. And the contrary is the same. The more you're being hard with yourself through an experience, the less you want to do it. So consistency is key. It's the base of discipline. It's the key to achieving external results. And the bigger the result we are wanting, the longer and slower the process is going to be. So the more patience it's going to require from us. An extreme focus on results is going to make us depressed. I once had this therapist that talked to me about finding the balance between obligation and joy. Too much obligation, and we're suffocating ourselves into burnout, depression, anxiety, which is what had happened to me at that point. But yeah, back to consistency. We cannot be consistent if we're burning out or we're anxious. And that's why joy is actually so important. Both for achieving long-term results, but also for being present, for really tapping into the key of a happy life, for not caring if you die tomorrow because you've enjoyed and made the most of today. So for really transcending the fear of death and being truly present, we need a readiness for joy. So another thing we have to talk about is the reason for our interest in discipline. You want discipline, right? But have you asked yourself why? What it is for? I have a lot of friends who complain about procrastinating or being blocked, but have we actually stopped and asked ourselves what's the point of doing what we're doing? To me, that's where the real problem starts in a lot of the cases. Because even if we manage to be disciplined, if it's built on the wrong reason, it will explode later. If we want discipline to impress others or to get external results, it will often leave us feeling empty and completely disconnected with ourselves. Even if we achieve some degree of discipline, it cannot last. So the problem may not be discipline itself, but what we direct it towards, what we devote it to. So we have to constantly check ourselves as a daily practice. In every situation we are in, we have to check ourselves and bring into awareness, are we wanting to do this out of love and consciousness, or it's about our egoic desires? Is it congruent with my purpose in this life? What are my desires? Are they good for me or for others? Are they hurtful? Do they bring joy and consciousness and awareness? Only when discipline is well positioned towards a good goal, towards your true goal, consistency can last. So out of my own analysis of myself and of the world, a wrongly directed discipline, it's when it's focused on the external rewards. So to get approval, to get love, to get power, to get money, etc. But that's for each one to find out what works and what doesn't, of course. Once we understand rationally how us humans work, and once we reflect on the goal behind our desire for discipline, and if needed, reposition it, Then comes the hardest and most important part, which is keeping the everyday practice of kind discipline, of conscious discipline, of loving discipline. The practice of learning to do what's hard, but with kindness and lightness. And most of us, before reaching this practice, we have to really reflect on the previous points of the reason and of everything. And the final practice, we are going to have to create it in our own way. You can go from taking breaks to bringing your favorite snack when you go to the library, to listening to your body when you need to stop and revisit your work in another time. It can be inventing rituals before and after. But the essence of the practice has to be to bring to consciousness the reason why we're doing what we're doing. So realizing that whatever we are doing it for the good. So as we go through the things we have to do, keep a positive dialogue in your internal self. So it's very different to write the list of the things you have to do for the day and doing it with this kind of voice in your head. We have to go, oh my God, I'm always so lazy, I have to do this and then this. Or doing it in a very compassionate way, reminding yourself of the positive behind the actions you're taking. Whatever the ritual and the practice you've developed, you're most probably going to have to keep changing it, because a lot of the times we get bored and we find difficulty in doing the task because it's boring. So we have to be paying a lot of attention to how we're feeling, and if that's the case, change the context of what we want to do. For example, if I was working in a place, change the place I was working in, change the light, change the time of day. What can I do to bring some sense of playfulness into what I'm doing? Like Alan Watts would say, we have to realize it is all play. So really holding the paradox of doing the difficult task and at the same time being ready to laugh and being open to bring a sense of playfulness into the difficult task. Doing things with or for joy means risking the possibility of a worse result, and that requires a lot of courage and deep contact with oneself. It means valuing your own well-being and peace before everything else. It means prioritizing your own happiness before being liked by others. And that's very hard for some of us, but once we try it, honestly, I would never go back. In my experience, this jump into doing things for the right reason, for the deepest reason, for your deepest self, this jump into risking losing everything external is going to be rewarded by life. This is the courage that is needed in order to feel inner peace, lose the fear of death, and also achieve external results, even if that's slower than our egoic self would have wanted it. We humans are sometimes content with so little, the fleeting pleasure of being liked or of an external result, but why settle for that when there is true joy, full, long-lasting joy? Talking about discipline means we have to talk about all these other things and reflect on our limiting perspectives. And one I see very often in a world where people don't know how to be alone, how to sustain loneliness, is the fear of what others may think. When you feel you don't care about what others think, you realize it's because you realize their judgment is just a reflection of how they treat themselves. So you can really see how someone feels inside themselves by how they treat others and how they judge you. So every time more I think, poor them for living with that kind of judgment. I'd never change my inner freedom and my happiness and my peace to please others. So to direct discipline to the right place, therefore being able to practice it consistently, it means to prioritize our own happiness. 1, by accepting the judgment of others. 2, by accepting loneliness and being able to handle it, deep loneliness. And 3, by risking not reaching an end goal, having the courage to do so. But the more we do it, the more we'll want to do it. So we have to start, and start kind and start small. And keep checking ourselves. Keep checking what are we directing our discipline to? Because often the problem is not discipline itself, but it's where we are pointing it. What better way to serve yourself than to practice a discipline towards your own capacity to be joyful, to love, and to stay aware, to stay present, and remain at peace whatever happens and comes to you in life. It's very different from discipline for the sake of money or for the sake of status. Blessings and peace. One last thing. What's a better thing than to dedicate your discipline to serve yourself and to serve others? What better way to serve yourself and to serve others than to direct the discipline towards becoming every day more aware, more present, and more joyful no matter what? No matter what comes to you in life, no matter what others think of you, no matter what external result you may achieve or not. So why not direct our discipline and our training into becoming better humans, into becoming what we came here to become, into becoming one with others? Joy to the world, the angels sing.